Over 70% of gasoline sold across America doesn't have the cleaning power your engine truly needs. That's why more than 500,000 vehicles every year suffer from carbon buildup that silently chokes performance and kills mileage. In this video, I'll expose 11 gas brands you should never trust, and at the end, I'll show you 5 that actually protect your engine, including the exact blend that helped my F-150 cross 375,000 miles without losing a beat. Let's get started. Number 11. Safeway Gasoline. Ever notice your car idles rough or loses pep just a few days after filling up? Maybe that check engine light flashes for no reason. That's usually the sign of bargain fuel doing your engine dirty. Safeway might look cheap at the pump, but its fuel quality costs drivers far more later. Independent lab tests reveal detergent levels well below automaker recommendations, allowing carbon to pile up on injectors and intake valves. Once that buildup starts, your engine stops running clean. It starts running tired. I've opened plenty of engines fed with this fuel. Sticky valves, soot-covered plugs, slow throttle response like the engine's gasping for air. Drivers thought they were saving a few cents a gallon. In reality, they were buying future repairs. And to make it worse, Safeway isn't top-tier certified, meaning it fails to meet the higher detergent standards most car makers insist on. When a company cuts corners on cleaning agents, your engine pays the price. And if you think that's bad, wait till you see the next brand. It makes Safeway look premium. Number 10. 7-Eleven Gas. You'd think a brand that big would care about what goes into their pumps, right? Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Here's the truth. 7-Eleven doesn't refine its own fuel. They buy from whichever local supplier gives them the cheapest deal that week. That means one station could pump decent gas, while the one just down the road could be serving fuel that barely meets minimum specs. There's zero consistency, and inconsistency is an engine's worst nightmare. I've had customers tell me their car ran perfectly fine until they filled up at a 7-Eleven. Suddenly, the idle went rough, acceleration lagged, and their fuel economy dropped like a rock. Some even reported knocking under load, a clear sign of low-quality fuel or water contamination. In fact, over the years, several 7-Eleven stations have been flagged by state inspectors for tainted gasoline, too much ethanol, or sediment from neglected underground tanks. In some cases, inspectors shut down entire pumps after finding fuel that was far outside spec. When gas that cheap starts damaging injectors and fuel pumps, that's not a bargain. That's a repair bill waiting to happen. A few pennies saved at the pump can cost hundreds at the shop later. Trust me, cheap gas is never worth the risk. And if you think that sounds inconsistent, wait till you hear about the next one. A warehouse giant that puts volume far ahead of quality. Number 9. Sam's Club Gasoline. Here's the thing about warehouse gas stations. They're designed for volume, not quality. And Sam's Club is the perfect example of that. Their fuel supply comes from a mix of local distributors, which means no fixed formula, no guaranteed detergent package, and absolutely no consistency from one tank to the next. One fill-up might be fine, but the next could be filled with enough contaminants to make your injectors cry. I've seen cars roll into my shop after topping off at Sam's Club. Clogged fuel filters, rough idle, even hard starts on cold mornings. When we drain the gas, it often smells stale and looks cloudy, a clear sign of moisture or sediment from poorly maintained storage tanks. And here's what really raises a red flag. Sam's Club fuel isn't top-tier certified. Automakers recommend top-tier gasoline because it helps prevent carbon buildup and keeps combustion clean. Sam's fuel just meets the legal minimum. Nothing more, nothing less. Sure, it's cheap, but there's a reason why. When a company moves millions of gallons a week, quality takes a back seat to quantity. And those few cents you save at the pump? They can burn right through your fuel system later. It's a perfect example of you get what you pay for. And believe it or not, the next brand cuts even more corners. and it's one you've definitely seen on almost every street corner in America. Number 8. Circle K gasoline. You see that bright red sign on almost every corner and think, big brand must be solid fuel. But here's the truth. Circle K doesn't refine a single drop of its own gas. They simply buy whatever's cheapest that week from local distributors. That means your engine becomes the test subject for whatever random blend ends up in their tanks. One batch might run fine, the next might clog your injectors with sticky residue. I've inspected countless engines from Circle K regulars, carbon-coated valves, gummed-up injectors, and misfires that come and go like ghosts. When we scope the cylinders, you can literally see black carbon sitting on top of the pistons. That's what happens when detergents are weak. Your engine burns dirty and loses efficiency fast. In 2020, several Circle K locations across the southern states were fined for selling water-contaminated fuel that damaged dozens of cars. Some drivers couldn't even make it home after filling up. The company blamed delivery issues. Sorry, but that's not an excuse when you're running a national fuel chain. When you cut corners on storage and quality control, it's not just bad business, it's reckless. So if you've ever filled up and noticed your car idling rough or stalling right after, now you know why. And if this has happened to you, drop your experience in the comments. It helps more drivers steer clear of this mess. Don't go anywhere, because the next brand is tied to one of the biggest retail giants in America, and their fuel issues run even deeper. Number 7. Murphy USA gasoline. You'll find these gas stations parked right next to Walmart lots across the country. Convenient, sure, but convenience doesn't equal quality. Murphy USA built its entire business around one thing: being cheaper than everyone else. And when the only goal is to cut prices, something else always gets cut too. Usually it's the detergent package that keeps your engine clean. I've seen it time and time again in the shop. Cars running rough, sputtering under acceleration, and even early fuel injector failures, all traced back to low-grade fuel. Drivers often assume their car is just getting old. Nope, it's just burning dirty gas. Fuel samples from multiple states have shown Murphy's detergent levels consistently below top-tier standards, and their ethanol content tends to fluctuate far more than it should. That kind of inconsistency messes with your car's fuel trims, leaving you with rough, idle, reduced power, and higher emissions. In 2018, several Murphy USA stations in Texas and Louisiana were investigated for selling contaminated fuel that caused vehicles to stall right after filling up. The company blamed their suppliers, but let's be honest, that excuse gets old fast. Cheap gas might save you $1 or $2 at the pump, but your engine pays for it mile after mile. And if you think that's bad, wait till you see the next brand. It pretends to be performance fuel, but what's really inside those pumps is some of the dirtiest gas I've ever seen. Number 6. Speedway gasoline. On the outside, Speedway looks like a solid choice. Bright lights, clean pumps, big brand. But behind that shine hides one of the most inconsistent fuel supplies out there. Speedway doesn't have a single dedicated fuel source. They pull from different local suppliers, which means you never really know what's going into your tank. One batch could meet specs, and the next could be loaded with moisture or low-grade additives. I've worked on plenty of engines that ran on Speedway fuel for years, and the story is always the same: carbon buildup, sluggish throttle, and lousy fuel economy. When we lab test their gas, detergent levels often come in well below top-tier standards. And without strong detergents, that carbon turns into thick sludge fast. In 2020, several Speedway stations were caught selling fuel contaminated with water after heavy rainstorms. Drivers filled up, drove a mile or two, and their cars began sputtering. Some wouldn't start at all. Water and gasoline never mix. It corrodes the fuel system and kills pumps in no time. Speedway isn't top-tier certified either. They meet the bare minimum, nothing more. That's not performance fuel, that's barely legal fuel, so don't let the polished branding fool you. What's inside those pumps tells a very different story. And if you've ever been forced to use low-quality gas, check out the link above. I've covered the best fuel additives that actually clean your injectors and protect your system when you're stuck with bad fuel. Now buckle up. The next brand is trusted by travelers nationwide, but the truth behind its fuel will make you think twice before your next road trip. Number 5. Love's Travel Stops. Truckers and road trippers love this brand. Open 24 hours, clean restrooms, easy to find anywhere in the country. But just because it's convenient doesn't mean it's good for your engine. Love's has been flagged multiple times for fuel contamination and poor storage maintenance. When you're moving that much fuel across hundreds of locations, keeping every tank clean becomes nearly impossible. And when those tanks get dirty, so does your gas. I've seen customers fill up before a long trip, only to call a tow truck halfway down the highway. When we drained their tanks, the gas looked cloudy and smelled off, a clear sign of water and sediment. In 2022, several drivers in Oklahoma and Missouri filed complaints after their cars stalled right after fueling at Love's. Inspectors found microbial growth in the underground storage tanks. That's bacteria that literally feeds on fuel and clogs filters like glue. And it's not just the gasoline side. Even their diesel fuel gets slammed in trucking forms for inconsistent quality and poor additive control. Like many others on this list, Love's fuel isn't top-tier certified, which means no guaranteed detergent protection for your engine. It's cheap and easy to find, but it's also a gamble every time you fill up. So if you're planning a road trip, do yourself a favor. Avoid Love's unless you enjoy surprises halfway through your journey. And speaking of surprises, the next brand carries one of the oldest names in American gasoline history. But the product inside isn't what it used to be. Number 4. Amoco Gasoline. This one surprises a lot of drivers. The Amoco name carries nostalgia. People remember it as an old-school, trusted brand. But the modern Amoco isn't the one your dad used to fill up with. Since BP brought the name back, Amoco Fuel has basically become BP's regular blend under a different label. And that's where the problem starts. While BP's premium fuels are solid, Amoco's regular grade has been criticized for weak detergent levels that fall short of top-tier standards. EPA complaints over the years even show cases where Amoco gas contributed to carbon buildup in newer direct injection engines. I've seen engines with just 60,000 miles that look like they'd done 150,000, coated valves, dirty injectors, and sluggish response. To make matters worse, not every Amoco station is top-tier certified. Some still use outdated underground tanks that allow moisture to leak into the fuel supply, a nightmare for injectors and fuel pumps. The brand sounds classy, the logo looks familiar. But don't let nostalgia fool you. This isn't the Amoco of the 80s, and if you think that's bad, buckle up. The next company's story goes from disappointing to downright criminal. Number 3. Pilot Flying J. This brand has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. What most drivers see as a convenient truck stop chain has a history that reads more like a crime report than a business plan. Back in 2013, the FBI actually raided Pilot Flying J's headquarters after the company admitted to cheating truckers out of millions in fuel rebates. It was one of the biggest fuel scandals in U.S. history, and it told drivers exactly where the company's priorities were. But even after the scandal faded, the fuel quality complaints kept coming. I've had customers bring in diesel trucks that started knocking, losing power, or misfiring right after a fill-up at Pilot. When we tested that fuel, it showed high water content and heavy sediment, signs of old, poorly maintained storage tanks. That's what happens when a company focuses more on sales volume than on what's actually coming out of the nozzle. Sure, Pilot stations are everywhere and super convenient, but convenience doesn't mean quality. Engines that depend on clean, properly blended fuel can't survive this kind of inconsistency for long. The truth is simple. Dirty gas and diesel shorten your engine's life faster than you think. And if you thought corporate scandals were as bad as it gets, the next brand proves it can go even lower. We're talking about real criminal activity. Number 2. Sunoco regular gasoline. This one hurts to say because when people hear Sunoco, they think racing fuel, NASCAR logos, high performance, power. But the truth? The gas you're getting at the pump has nothing to do with what's used on the track. Sunoco's regular grade gasoline is a completely different story. I've seen more carbon buildup and engine knock from their base-level fuel than almost any other major brand. Consumer watchdog groups have repeatedly tested Sunoco regular and found detergent levels below top-tier standards, meaning it doesn't clean as it burns. It just adds more gunk over time. Some stations have even failed state inspections for off-spec ethanol blends and water contamination. In 2016, the EPA fined several Sunoco locations for selling fuel that didn't meet clean air standards. That's not a small mistake. That's your engine-breathing trash. And here's the kicker. While their premium and race fuels are legitimately excellent, their regular gas shouldn't even be in modern engines. It burns dirty, runs rough, and leaves behind thick deposits that rob performance. So don't be fooled by the racing logos or flashy branding. What goes into your tank at a regular Sunoco pump is not race fuel. It's low-quality gas that can slowly choke your engine. But as bad as that sounds, the next one takes the crown for the worst of all time. A company that literally sold toxic waste as fuel. Number 1. Company selling toxic or waste fuel. This one isn't just bad, it's flat-out criminal. I'm talking about shady distributors who've been caught blending industrial waste and used oil into gasoline, then selling it to unsuspecting gas stations as if it were normal fuel. These operations have been exposed by the EPA for literally turning hazardous waste into profit. One example? Companies like Lamb Fuels, accused of selling contaminated chemically altered fuel across multiple states. This stuff wasn't just low quality, it was toxic. We are talking about gasoline laced with solvents, chemical byproducts, and used motor oil that should have been sent to disposal sites, not your car's tank. I've seen engines completely destroyed by this junk. Melted injectors, clogged fuel filters, ruined catalytic converters, even full engine failure in just days. Drivers didn't even know what hit them. One fill-up and their cars were done. According to EPA case reports, some of these companies blended waste to save costs, pocketed the difference, and vanished before authorities could shut them down. They weren't cutting corners, they were committing crimes. These aren't just bad business practices, they're engine killers, and they put profit over people's safety. But here's the good news. Not every fuel brand plays dirty. Some companies actually go the extra mile to keep your engine running cleaner, longer, and stronger. Let's flip the script and talk about the 5 gasoline brands that truly protect your engine. Number 5. Chevron with Techron. Now this is what real fuel looks like. Chevron's Techron formula isn't a gimmick. It's one of the most advanced detergent packages ever approved by automakers. It actively removes carbon buildup from pistons, valves, and injectors as you drive. I've torn down engines with over 150,000 miles that ran almost exclusively on Chevron gas, and the internals were spotless. No sticky valves, no black soot. That's the Techron effect. It's also top-tier certified, which means it doesn't just meet the industry standard, it beats it. Mechanics, performance tuners, and long-haul drivers all trust it because it keeps combustion clean and fuel efficiency high. Sure, it costs a few cents more, but that's nothing compared to what you save on long-term engine repairs. If you want your engine to last, this is the kind of gas you want in your tank. Number 4. Shell gasoline. Shell is one of the few fuel brands that doesn't just slow down engine buildup, it actually fights it. Their nitrogen-enriched formula creates a thin protective layer on metal surfaces, preventing carbon from sticking to valves and injectors. Cars that have been running on Shell for years often show cleaner combustion chambers and smoother idle compared to others. It's that consistent formula that sets Shell apart. No guessing what you're getting from one station to another. Every Shell pump follows top-tier standards, guaranteeing strong detergents that keep your engine clean and efficient. You might pay a bit more per gallon, but you'll feel it in throttle response and overall performance. Shell's reliability makes it a safe bet for any driver who cares about engine health. Number 3. ExxonMobil gasoline. ExxonMobil built its reputation on consistency and science. Their Synergy fuel blend is loaded with advanced cleaning agents that protect vital engine parts from carbon and corrosion. Every drop is engineered for efficiency and longevity. I've seen engines with over 200,000 miles that ran primarily on ExxonMobil gas. Clean valves, spotless injectors, and zero hesitation under load. That's not luck, that's chemistry done right. What really stands out is that even their regular grade fuel meets top-tier standards. You're not getting watered-down gas. Every gallon carries the same detergent strength, whether it's regular or premium. The result? Cleaner burns, smoother idles, and far fewer long-term issues like knocking or carbon buildup. It's reliable, it's consistent, and it works anywhere in the country. Number 2. Costco gasoline. Most drivers assume warehouse gas means cheap and low quality, but Costco completely flips that idea. Their fuel is top-tier certified, meeting the same strict detergent standards as Chevron or Shell, sometimes even higher. Independent lab tests have shown that Costco gas often contains more cleaning additives than many name-brand competitors. That means fewer deposits, cleaner injectors, and better fuel economy over time. Another advantage? Volume. Costco moves so much fuel that their storage tanks are always fresh and well-maintained, minimizing contamination and moisture. Clean tanks mean clean gas, and that means a happy engine. You get premium-level quality at a discount price, and that's something you rarely find in the fuel world. But if you think Costco is good, wait until you hear about the brand that takes the top spot for engine protection. Number 1. BP/Amoco Ultimate Fuel. This one takes the crown for a reason. BP's Amoco Ultimate isn't just pump gas, it's engineered to clean as you drive. Its powerful detergent package can actually remove existing carbon buildup over time, not just prevent new deposits. I've seen engines that switch to Ultimate after years of running cheap fuel. Within a few tanks, idle smoothed out, throttle response came back, and fuel economy improved. That's what strong detergents and precise formulation can do. It's top-tier certified, meeting and often exceeding automaker standards. BP claims it keeps engines up to 60% cleaner than fuels without sufficient detergents, and from what I've seen in the shop, that's no exaggeration. Yes, it costs a little more per gallon, but clean valves, better combustion, and smoother performance make it worth every cent. If you care about your engine's long-term health, this is the fuel you want in your tank. You might already be using good fuel, but that doesn't mean your engine is safe. Many drivers still believe old myths about how to save gas or boost performance, and some of those habits slowly destroy engines over time. So before you fill up next time, make sure you're not following outdated fuel tricks that cost you horsepower, mileage, and money. I've broken down the biggest fuel myths drivers still fall for, and trust me, a few of them might surprise you. Click the video on your screen now to see what they are and how to avoid them. Thanks for watching, and remember, cheap gas isn't really cheap when it costs you your engine. Keep your ride running smooth, stay smart at the pump, and as always, this is Car Vitalize, helping you get the most out of every mile.